Let's be frank. The kings and nobles of the past married for politics, for land, for disguised business contracts. Love was a luxury. Husband and wife often did not even live together. They met just to have a son to carry on the family line, and then each lived their own life. So what could the rich and powerful full of life do to relieve their boredom? It's simple. They went looking for mistresses. And that's when the courtesan stepped onto the stage. Make no mistake, these are not street girls who make money to get by. Prostitutes are a completely different class. They are the ultimate sugar babies, a deadly combination of a beauty queen, a psychologist, an artist, and a smart businesswoman. Their job is not just to undress in bed. They have to know how to dress to make people fall in love, talk to the big shots, write poetry, sing, and most importantly, know how to make a man feel like he is the center of the universe. Basically, they sell a perfect illusion. The illusion of a girlfriend, a lover, a soulmate who never nags, never demands status, but only brings joy. This profession flourished in Italy during the Renaissance. They even had distinct grades. The best were called honest courtesan, honest prostitutes, all educated women from wealthy families but have fallen on hard times. These women have their own houses, literary salons, and hang out with artists and politicians. The more common type is called courtesan of light, lantern prostitute, serving more common customers, generally closer to the profession that everyone knows what it is. The game is brutal. One day she can be the queen of the city, the next she can be dumped on the streets without a penny. Their power is built on sand. Beauty fades, their patrons die or get bored, and society is always ready to trample them. They are the freest women in a world that does not allow women freedom, and the price is terrible. Now, let's take a look at the 9 big sisters who have made waves in history. The ones who have turned being a hired lover into a high art. Veronica Franco, erotic poet and marketing master of Venice in 16th century Venice. A notorious city of pleasure, Veronica Franco was an A-list star. Her mother, a former courtesan, was her daughter's mother. She did not teach her daughter sewing, but instead invested in her daughter's education as a boy. Literature, philosophy, music, and painting. She knew that in this profession the mind is as important as the body, and Veronica did not disappoint her mother. She turned herself into a unique brand. Men came to her not only to sleep, but also to talk to a sharp mind. But she was more than that. She wrote poetry. Her poetry was not sentimental, but extremely daring, writing directly about sex, about women's pleasure, about the hypocrisy of the big men. To put it bluntly, it was a genius marketing move. Every poem that was passed around was a free promotion of Veronica's name. She turned herself into a cultural figure, something higher than a high-class prostitute. Her career took off like a kite. Even King Henry III of France had to stop by to see her when he visited. Money and fame, she had it all. But life was not like a dream. The plague struck and she had to flee. When she returned, her house was in ruins. Not only that, a jealous man accused her of being a witch. This was a certain death sentence. Before the Inquisition, Veronica gave the performance of a lifetime. She did not cry and beg. She used her clever mouth, and more importantly, she quietly alerted her network of powerful clients. The big shots sitting on the judge's bench or in the government, would they let their ex-lover be burned alive and all the bad things come out? And so the accusation suddenly disappeared. She escaped death, but her luck was bad. Old age came, her old customers died or went to younger, prettier girls. Veronica, once a shining star, died in poverty and oblivion. A cruel end to a brilliant business mind and marketing talent. Nell Gwynn. From orange girl to mistress of the king's heart, if anyone is the most spectacular example of a rescue from poverty, it is Nell Gwynn. Coming from the bottom of society, perhaps her mother even owned a brothel, Nell's childhood was spent on the streets. She started her career by selling oranges in the theater. This job was essentially being a decoy, selling goods while flirting, delivering letters from rich men to actresses. The London theater scene had just reopened after a period of lockdown, and the atmosphere was electric. Nell, with her pretty face and sweet talk, was quickly thrust onto the stage. She was illiterate, but had a natural talent for comedy. The audience was captivated by her honesty, her shrewdness, and her naturalness. And then King Charles II, a famous playboy, set his eyes on her. The king was tired of the coquettish, hypocritical ladies of the court. He saw in Nell a freshness, a girl who feared nothing. Their relationship was like an escape from the stuffiness of the court. Nell never tried to be a lady. She still cursed, still gambled, and still kept her street girl side. In the king's unofficial harem, Nell had a formidable rival, Louise de Kerouaille, a French aristocrat. It was a battle between domestic and foreign goods. Louise was posh and scheming, while Nell was down-to-earth and straightforward. One day, angry Londoners surrounded Nell's carriage, mistaking her for a French Catholic bitch. Nell stuck her head out and shouted, "Calm down, guys! I'm a Protestant bitch!" The crowd was so happy they cheered loudly. Nell gave birth to 2 sons for the king. She did not ask for political power, only that the king provide a comfortable life for her and her children. The king's feelings for her were genuine. Before he died, he told his brother, "Don't let poor Nellie starve to death." One sentence was enough to show her position. Nell Gwynn proved that sometimes honesty and humor are more powerful than any political intrigue. 3. Marie Louise O'Murphy. Nude of a lifetime and a spectacular survival turnaround, Marie Louise O'Murphy couldn't have gotten off to a better start. At just 14, she became a model for the famous artist François Boucher. Her nudes, both innocent and provocative, were a huge hit, and they reached the most prestigious client, King Louis XV. She was immediately taken to Parc aux Cerfs, which was the king's private high-class brothel, specializing in recruiting underage girls. Her life was like a dream, silk and brocade, eating and dressing well, being pampered by the king. She even gave birth to a child for the king. It seemed like she was in good health, but she made a rookie mistake. Overconfident, she dared to overthrow the big sister of the harem at that time, Madame de Pompadour. A foolish move. Pompadour, a cunning politician, just snapped his fingers and little O'Murphy was thrown out of the palace that same night. Her career seemed over. But this was when Marie-Louise's brain worked at full capacity. She accepted being married to a lowly nobleman. Her husband died, she remarried, always choosing a better deal than the last. She used her old connections and her cleverness to enter the financial world. From a dumped mistress, she transformed into a wealthy businesswoman, returning to the court with a completely different attitude. When the French Revolution broke out, the aristocracy was dragged to the guillotine, and she was arrested too. But once again, her survival instinct saved her. She managed to get released and then promptly married a young revolutionary politician. It was a life-saving move that couldn't have been wiser. Marie-Louise O'Murphy was a master of adaptability, a chameleon who could survive any political storm. Rosalie Doutet, the original blonde naked and the power of pure beauty. Rosalie Doutet is a perfect example of how you don't need to be smart if you're beautiful. She was one of the leading beauties of 18th century Paris. Her career was a series of affairs with the richest and most powerful men. The money just kept flowing in. She was famous for 2 things: her beauty and her habit of staying silent for a long time before speaking. The Parisian intellectuals called her stupid and empty-headed. They even wrote a play to mock her, turning her into the first silly blonde in history. But maybe they were wrong. Or maybe that silliness was her weapon. The men who surrounded her were probably tired of smart, sharp, and cunning wives and mistresses. With Rosalie, they felt relieved. A beautiful mistress. Not much talk, not demanding, just needing money. That could be a perfect service. She didn't sell intelligence, she sold peace, and of course her body. Despite the ridicule of the world, Rosalie lived a happy and wealthy life until old age. She proved a cruel truth. In a world ruled by men, sometimes a pretty face and a mouth that knows when to shut up are more valuable than a learned mind. Lola Montez, troublemaker queen and wrecker Lola. Montez's life reads like a big-budget action movie. Real name Eliza Gilbert, a sassy Irish girl, she invented a whole new identity for herself. Lola Montez, sexy Spanish dancer. In reality, she's a terrible dancer, but her irreverent attitude and devilish beauty are unmatched. Lola was a walking nightmare. She dated all sorts of celebrities, from musicians to writers. Wherever she was, there was drama. The height of her troublemaking career was when she went to Bavaria and bewitched King Ludwig III. The old king was madly in love with her, made her a countess, and involved her in politics. Lola, with her radical mind, began firing ministers, changing policies, and causing chaos at court. The Bavarians were furious. They could not bear to have a foreign dancer running their country. Protests broke out, and eventually Ludwig I lost his throne, all because of a love affair. Expelled from Bavaria, Lola continued her destructive ways in America and Australia. She performed the spider dance so provocatively that audiences blushed. She was criticized by a critic who whipped him. She got into sex scandals, gunfights, and everything in between. She lived like the world would end tomorrow. At the end of her life, no one expected the storm to stop. Lola lived her last days in New York doing charity work. But it was too late. Her body was ravaged by syphilis. Lola Montez was a time bomb, burning her life gloriously and without regret. Pauline Léontine Beloge, Leonte. A story of transgression in the Parisian underworld, Pauline's story was very different. Born a boy named Arthur, she knew from a very young age that she was a woman. She came into her own, took the name Pauline, and entered the world of prostitutes and cabaret singers, but life did not leave her alone. She was drafted into the army, forced to live as a man. It was mental torture. She deserted, was arrested, and imprisoned. After her release, she found a home in Paris's underground gay and transgender community. It was a world that society did not recognize, but there were rules, there was support, and there were great parties. Pauline wrote an autobiography, an incredibly brave act for her time. She told of her life, her community, its hardships, and its joys. Her book is a rare glimpse into a hidden world. Pauline was not just a prostitute, she was a warrior. Someone who fought for the right to be herself in a world that did not accept differences. Catherine Walters, Skittles, CEO of the high-end sex industry if other courtesans were artists. Catherine Skittles Walters was a businesswoman. She ran her career like a brilliant CEO. Her product was herself, and she knew how to price it very highly. Her showroom was Hyde Park in London. Every day she dressed up, rode her best horse, and rode around. The whole of London came to see her. It was her way of promoting her brand. She wasn't beautiful, but she had a hot body and a very classy demeanor. Her secret weapon was her discretion. In Victorian times, scandal could ruin a life. Skittles' customers, including the Prince of Wales, knew their secrets would be kept safe. She never gossiped, never blackmailed. That discretion was her guarantee, making customers willing to pay more for her services. She worked hard, saved smartly, and retired at 51 as a millionaire. No scandal, no tragedy. She was a rare find in the profession, a woman who took complete control of her destiny and died with dignity. La Belle Otero. Gold digger and the gambler's end La Belle, Otero was the epitome of the extravagance and excess of the Belle Epoque. She created herself as a fiery gypsy dancer, and all of Europe fell for her. She was the most expensive courtesan, the trophy every king and every tycoon wanted to own. Rumor has it that the Carlton Hotel's vault was made in the shape of her breasts. 6 men have committed suicide over her. She has a jewelry collection that would dazzle anyone. Money is not a problem for her. It just flows into her. She is a gold digger of legendary proportions. But she had a fatal weakness, her love of gambling. When she retired, she took a mountain of money to Monte Carlo and started burning it. She blew through a fortune that would take a normal person 1,000 lifetimes to make. Her end was ironic. The one-time Queen of Paris died poor and alone in a cheap rented room. La Belle Otero's story is a valuable lesson in how hard it is to make money, but even harder to keep it. Marguerite Alibert, cold-blooded assassin and master manipulator. Marguerite Alibert is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Her story is not a love story, but a criminal one. She started out like any other courtesan and landed the biggest fish of all, the Prince of Wales, future King of England. Their affair was Marguerite's business. The young prince wrote her dozens of tearful love letters in which he accidentally bad-mouthed his family and revealed many sensitive matters. Marguerite kept all those letters. It was her retirement fund. When the prince dumped her, she took out the letter and blackmailed him. The British royal family, afraid of losing face, had to pay a fortune to keep her quiet. With money, she married an Egyptian millionaire. But the marriage was a disaster. One night in London, she shot her husband dead. Arrested and facing the gallows, Marguerite played her trump card again. She secretly warned the royal family, "Either save me or the whole world will see the prince's letter." This time, the royal family didn't just pay. They tapped into the legal system. A top lawyer was brought in. In court, Marguerite was painted as a pitiful victim. Her prostitution and blackmail were covered up, and she was acquitted. Marguerite won. She lived the rest of her life in luxury. She was a ruthless predator, a master manipulator who proved that if you were bold and shameless enough, you could bring an empire to its knees.